I hit record. Make sure you have your pen and papers. Tonight, as you guys know, we've talked about this. We have a guest speaker, Alexis. Is it One Fit Coconut? Is that what you are?
Yeah.
Okay, so she's on Instagram as One Fit Coconut, and that's your business. That's your Facebook page name, right?
Yeah, everything I have, my Snapchat, all of it is one.
Okay.
One word.
I like it. So make sure you guys follow her. And so I asked her to come on and share with you guys her system, because one of the things that I have been hearing from my coaches is that it's not that people aren't putting in the work. People are struggling with building the relationships, having enough people to invite, and just having those relationships going on social media. So I'm like, oh my gosh, what can we do? And then Alexis popped in my head, because if you know Josh Coates, he teaches her system. She is the creator. So take it away, Alexis, and just everybody make sure you take notes so you will remember what she's teaching.
Okay. Oh, I wanted to take a picture and my flash was on. Okay. Anyway, so I'm going to get right into it because I can talk a lot, guys. And if you have any questions, hopefully we'll have time at the end, but I'm just going to probably say no. But I'm going to share my screen with you. I have a little presentation here. I can't see you guys, which always weirds me out, but we're just going to go right into it. So the first thing I want to talk about, because like I said, I'm going to just go right into it, is a kind of an important part that needs to go with this is about building a contact list. So while building relationships and doing all of those things is important, if you don't have anybody to talk to, it's going to make it difficult to do that. So I'm going to quickly talk about some of my little tips and tricks of building a contact list. I have like some really weird ways, and I'm instead of getting too much into it, I'm actually going to send Andrea a video that kind of explains it in more detail so you guys can watch it and you can have it. I always offer it when I do these calls. But building a contact list, obviously you can do it from Facebook or whatever, but my main way, this whole ADOS formula, is pretty much strictly through Instagram. But it doesn't mean you can't do it in other ways. You totally can. But you want to make sure that every week, I call it with my team our fifth vital behavior. Every Sunday or Saturday, whenever you have time, before the week starts, you want to do it before the week starts, you want to make sure that you build a contact list. So in theory, with Go for No, every 10 people you talk to, you're going to hear 9 no's, you're going to get 1 yes. So in theory, if you want to help 3 people in a month minimum, you would need to talk to 30 people. So if you do a list of anywhere from 10 to 20, 15 to 25 people each week, you will at the end of the month have more than enough people that you have talked to in order to hopefully hit that goal. So you can look through hashtags. I don't suggest going through clean eating and things like that. Like, go through ones that are specific to you, things that are like Yoga Mom, and I personally find that food ones work. So like RX Bar, Lara Bar, a certain, kombucha brand. Finding people through hashtags like that is really beneficial. And then I have another little weird way. Like I said, I'm going to send the video, but it's basically by going to the popular page, searching through the likes of a popular picture, because a popular picture of like, really pretty like food picture or whatever, when you click on the likes, you can basically go through and it'll show, if you're a fitness Instagram, it's going to only show you the fitness people Instagram. I don't know why Instagram does it, but it's like this really cool thing I found out. But like I said, if I go into that, I'll be talking all night, but it's a really cool way. Since this call isn't really about that, I'll send her that video. And then another thing I get my team to do when I do interactive power hours is I just go to my Instagram. I go to the last 6 of my own pictures, click on the likes, and then make a list of anybody new that has liked a picture. Like, because you can go through the likes and say, okay, I know that person, I'm talking to that person. Or if you see anybody new, I write their handle down. And then when you do that, you can just start a conversation with them based off this, this formula, which a message for that could be like, hey, I saw your name pop up on my newsfeed and then I went to your page and it's awesome. You know what I mean? So, that's kind of how that works. But I'll send that video of how I create my contact list, because it's a really weird way, but I feel like it works. Okay. So before we move on into everything, number one thing is that you have to be tracking this. This process does not work with pen and paper. Technically it can, but it's going to be a lot harder for you. It's going to be more stressful. I hear coaches all the time that either quit or they say they get too frustrated or overwhelmed, and it's because they do pen and paper. Because if you don't have a way that you're tracking people and you're able to write notes about people, you're not going to be able to keep track of those things. Like when I use Google Streak. You can use Asana, Teamsy. Another thing I will send to Andrea to share, because I always offer it when I do this call, is I have a Google Streak video that teaches you One's a quick video that kind of just teaches you how I use my ADOS formula and Google Streak together. And then I have another that's a 2-hour webinar. And the reason why it's so long is because it's an interactive webinar where I get on, with my team, I recorded it, and you complete the tasks with me. So by the end of the 2 hours, your Google Streak is set up. You're done. Everything's good to go. You're all good. So I'll send those videos to Andrea too, so she can share this with you guys. But just make sure, guys, before you do any of this, you're tracking people. It's going to get you less stressed. I went from barely hitting Success Club, 5, or well, now it's 6, to now hitting Success Club 20 almost without, fail. And I literally really haven't done anything differently besides maybe a few things, but track people, because I'm able to write notes about them and set reminders and do all of these other things. So that's a side note, but let's get into the actual part of this. So let's say you have your contact list and, you want them to be, health and fitness people. Obviously, you're not just going to message some random dog Instagram. You want it to be, a health and fitness or somewhat along those lines Instagram, because you're going to reach out to them, whether you're doing it for coaching or you're doing it for joining a group or something like that. But what you're going to do with your list of 15, 20, 30 people is you're going to send each of them a message. So you're going to have your contact list and you're just going to copy and paste the message. You can kind of change it around a bit if you want, and it's not that you're being phony if you send this message, the same message to people. You picked out these people for a reason. You saw their Instagram, you liked them, you wanted to reach out to them, so it's just saving you time. I kind of like comparing it to a guy at a bar and he sees a cute girl and he doesn't want to seem like a creep and just be like, hey, you're hot. So he goes up to her and asks her what time it is. It's kind of like you're in to not be a creep, but just kind of start the conversation with people. So you're just starting the conversation. So you're going to send an initial message that says something along the lines of, my message, I change it often, probably every few months, but it says something like, oh my God, girlfriend. And again, you don't want to talk like me, talk like however you do, but mine is, lots of big letters and emojis and stuff. And I'm like, oh my God, girlfriend, I just came across your page going through the kombucha hashtag and I absolutely love what you're doing. I love going through, hashtags for motivation. When I first started my Instagram, that's what I was doing. And I found yours. And I don't know, I just had to say, you're doing an awesome job. That's all you're doing. Just flattering them. You're just saying how awesome they are. You're not asking them to buy anything. You're not being the creep. You're just being like, hey, you're awesome. That's all you're doing. And you're going to send that message to each person on your contact list. Now, disclaimer, the way Instagram works is sometimes if you send too many messages, they'll not block you, shut down your account, but they'll not let you send any more messages. And you'll know when that happens, when you get a little red exclamation point, you just can't send anymore. Sometimes I can get 30 messages in. Sometimes I can only get 15 in. So if it stops you at 15 and you have 30 and you need 15 more, just, set a reminder, do it at the end of the day or do it tomorrow or whenever you can. But that's why I like to build my contact list on Sunday, send all these messages. And then so when the week starts, you don't have to worry about who am I going to message. You don't have to worry about when am I going to message this person. I'm just going to pull this person off of this and this person liked my post, so I might as well message them. You're going to have all of it done, and your job throughout the week is just to have a conversation with them. That's all you got to do. Super simple. Number 2, forming them. So just be real and get to know them. Have a human conversation. People always ask, what do I do if they don't respond to my message? All you have to do is go to their page. So I usually do it 2 days later. So again, I use Google Streak to set reminders. You can just, whatever you're doing, you can just go back and look at your list and just go open Instagram and search their name and do it like that if you want. But I like using Google Streak because it keeps me organized. But if you go and check their message and they didn't respond, all I do is I go to their page and comment on an old picture and say, hey girl, just wanted to let you know I sent you a direct message. Not sure if it went through, but just wanted to let you know that I did. Your page is awesome. And a lot of times people always freak out because when they do this process, if you send a message to 30 people, I'm telling you, only 10 people are going to respond, if that. It's not that they're ignoring you. Some people may, but for the most part, don't take it personally. It's that they had their baby in their lap and they opened your message and the baby puked on them and they were like, oh my gosh, and they closed the message and they just forgot to respond. Everybody has to stop taking things personally because there's so many things that can happen to someone when they don't respond to your message, even if it says seen, you know what I mean? So just remember that. So don't let it get you down. So I just go comment. And then again, I set a reminder for 2 days later that, and I talk about this in my Google Streak video, but I just set a reminder that says check in with them again. And then if they don't respond after I did comment, then I just keep them on my contact list, but I don't keep checking in with them because there's only so much you can do from there. But for the people that do respond, because a lot of times somebody will comment and be like, oh my gosh, I didn't even see that you commented or sent me a message. Let me go check. And then they respond and they're like, oh my gosh, thank you so much. And we continue the conversation. So let's say, they do respond. So before, what I was doing was saying, hey, are you on a health and fitness journey yourself? But again, times are changing. Like they talked about at Summit, things change in terms of, how this business works. So a lot of times people kind of may get the hint, and it's not like I'm trying to hide that eventually I'm going to invite them to something. I just want to be able to build a relationship with them because I know I have something good to offer. So I want to be able to do that first. So instead of saying that, they'll say, oh my gosh, thank you so much. That meant so much. That made my day. And I'm like, yes, girl, like I love spreading the positivity. And then I continue the conversation by asking them a question based off something that they post. So as you can see here, I say, oh, of course, I love spreading the positivity. By the way, girlfriend, where did you get those leggings? Those are so cute. Like those blue leggings from your last picture. Or, oh my God, your dog is so adorable. What's his name? Or, oh, you live in Boston? How long have you lived there? I, went there when I was younger and it seemed like such a gorgeous place. Whatever, you connect with them on. Just a way to start the conversation is to continue. People love talking about themselves. So you're just trying to kind of start some bit of a conversation. That's all you're really doing. So that was the whole, what do I do if they don't respond? So then your job from here is to just build a relationship with them. You're going to, the beauty about Instagram is now there's Instagram stories. When you comment on somebody's Instagram stories, it sends it as a message. So that's honestly what I do. Every time I go to check in with somebody, I comment on their Instagram story and ask a question. So then I know that they will respond. Because usually if somebody will respond, you can keep bouncing back and just talk about stuff. You're not trying to sell anything right now. So if anybody's wondering, when am I going to ask them to buy something or when am I going to invite them to something? You're not even there yet. You are just getting to know them because you want to be their friend before you invite them to something. So then what I usually do, I try to avoid inviting on Facebook or inviting on Instagram. And I know a lot of coaches do it. I'm not saying it's wrong because I still do it too. But if I can, I do ask them if they have a Facebook or a Snapchat. I'm just like, hey, girlfriend, do you have a Facebook or Snapchat? I'd love to stay connected with somebody as positive as you. I believe, if you surround yourself with positive people, it's what you're going to get back. And I always get a good response to that message. Some people either say they don't have a Facebook or they don't have a Snapchat, which is fine. Then I'm just going to continue to build a relationship there and eventually invite. But getting someone's Facebook and Snapchat is so much more personable than just inviting them on Instagram. All the other Beachbody coaches are doing it. So when you're a little bit more personable and you get their Snapchat, I feel like when I Snapchat somebody, I'm like, I almost have their number. Like I'm not just like Instagramming them. I'm like, everybody else is Instagramming. I'm Snapchatting them. You know what I mean? So I like to Snapchat them or Facebook them or whatever. And basically, again, still just Snapchat them randomly. Comment on their Facebook stuff. You're not inviting anybody yet. All you're doing is building the relationship. And this is over a period of, you do the first initial, send a message, do this whole, step 2, that you can do in a week. And you can invite them to Facebook within the second or third week. Depending on, I like for each group of contacts that I do, if I do a big bunch of people, like in a month, if I'm messaging 70, 80 people, I'm going to do that with them for a month. And then by the end of that month, they're going to get an invite. So it does take a little bit to do it. You could shorten the time if you wanted to, but you don't want to shorten it too much because yes, you want to get a quick win, but I'm telling you with the way things are changing, if you invite too quickly, if you're hearing no, that's why. It's just kind of how it works. You need to schmooze these people. I don't even know if that's a word, but that's what you want to do. So you want to move them over to Facebook. Then once you get to know them for another, like let's say it's been like, 3 weeks. I usually like 3 weeks is good for me. From the first initial message to when I'm going to invite, 3 weeks is usually like my sweet spot. And then you just invite. Number one question I always get from coaches is, how do I move the conversation over to health and fitness so I can invite them? I have never waited for someone to bring up health and fitness for me to invite them. And this is the reason why. And you don't have to do this, but this is just what I do. And my team does it, and I find that it works. I follow the same calendar every month. Every month, the first week is nothing. Usually I have a challenge group sneak peek, but the first week is nothing. The second week is my clean eating group. The third week on that Thursday is my coach sneak peek. And then the last week of the month is my challenge group, my main challenge group, the one that, people are buying a challenge pack for. But because I do this, what I do, because I personally don't invite every day. I know we're supposed to invite 3 people a day. I bulk invite. And again, me teaching this is not saying you have to do this. You can find a way to make this formula work for you. But I bulk invite. So let's say, literally just yesterday. So yesterday was Wednesday. So everybody that I did this process with last month and the month before, this Wednesday, yesterday, because it's the Wednesday before my clean eating group starts, because my clean eating group starts this Monday, the 14th. So on the Wednesday before my clean eating group starts, I invite everyone, like bulk invite. Like I send 60 to 100 invites of all the people I did this, and so maybe some follow-up invites and everything like that. All of those people from last month are going to get an invite on that Wednesday that says, hey, and we didn't even have to have talked about health and fitness. What my message is just going to simply say, hey, by the way, I meant to mention. So it's not just like, I don't, I just wanted to like message you. I'm just like, oh, by the way, I totally forgot to mention. Or, hey, I don't know if you'd be interested in this kind of thing. But I'm going to be holding this free clean eating group. You're going to get a grocery list, meal plan. It's all free. It's going to be fun. No biggie if you didn't want to do it, Ned, no. It's no biggie if you didn't want to do it, but just wanted to see if you'd be interested. And most people are like, well, yeah, I mean, it's free. I want to do that. I didn't wait for them to talk about health and fitness. I got to know them. So, imagine just inviting a friend. You would just be like if you were going to go to a restaurant, you'd be like, girlfriend, we're going to this restaurant. It's so good. Like, you have to go. Think about it that way. You get to know these people by commenting on their stories and asking them random questions and just getting to know them a little bit as much as you can. So then when you invite, you're just like, oh, girlfriend, I meant to mention, like, I'm having this group. Don't know if you'd be interested. No big deal if not. Make it super casual. It doesn't have to be super serious. New coaches and coaches who struggle with this overcomplicate it. I literally am just totally like, what's up, bro? And I send a voice message a lot of the time because they can hear the inflection in your voice. So then I send them the invite, all the people that I did. And so yesterday I sent out a bunch. I sent out a bunch more today. And then, I usually can get anywhere from 30 to 60 people in my clean eating group. So that's kind of what I'm doing. So this is like kind of what my clean eating group invite looks like. If anybody does take a screenshot, you can do that, but please make sure that you, hopefully you have your own clean eating group invite by now. But please make sure you use your own voice, because my voice doesn't sound like yours. And then also what I do, because with my contact list, I tell my coaches, when you're building that contact list in the beginning of the week, I'd say about 80% of the people on there need to be, you're going to invite them to a clean eating group. And a point I need to make is I never, almost never, pretty much never invite someone to a challenge group before I invite them to a clean eating group. If I'm going to invite them to something and they've been on my contact list, they're always going to get a clean eating group invite before they ever get a challenge group invite. Even if they tell me that they want to lose weight and they're looking to get healthy, blah, blah, blah. I'm like, you should join my clean eating group because you're going to get a challenge group invite from me after. So all these people go into my clean eating group. If they say, no, I'm not interested, or if they say, no, I'm not interested, that's one thing. But if they say, because most people at least say that they are, but they're busy or whatever that comes up, I just say, because it's another side note for coaches who are like, well, I don't, because the sale is in the follow-up. If you're not following up with people, you're not going to get anywhere. Because if you're doing this process and then you message me, I get messages from people all the time. I did your process, but I always hear no. So do I. I hear no from people 8 times before they say yes. It's between, I think, the 5th and the 12th time of you asking someone, and in sales, for someone to say yes. If you saw a pair of really cute, a cute purse on TV, and you saw it once and you're like, oh my God, that's so cute, but I'm not going to buy it. And then you see it again in a magazine and you're like, oh my God, that's cute, but I'm not going to buy it. And then your friend gets it. You're like, crap, oh my God, I want to get it. And then you see an ad for it 16 more times and it pops up on your Facebook feed. And then the 16th time you're like, okay, I'm finally going to get it. How many times have you guys done that? You have to remember that the people that we're talking to are going through the same thing. So if you don't follow up with them, just like you would have never bought the purse if you only saw it once, nobody's going to buy and join you if you only check in with them once. You have to keep your word that you're going to check in with them. So when someone says no to whatever, even if it's just a clean eating group, I say, no worries. Is it okay? And you ask permission and that gives you your in. Is it okay if I check in with you every month and just give you a little like heads up on what groups I have going on? Most people are going to say, oh yeah. And guess what? That is your in to follow up with them once a month, every month until they say yes. Again, why you use Google Streak, so you can set reminders to check in with them. If you have a piece of pen and paper and you write Jessica Smith on there, and then a month later you expect to hopefully find that piece of paper, because I know some of you guys have notebooks, which is great, but when I was doing this, my thing was on a piece of paper and loose leaf, and I lost it all the time. I wasn't able to keep notes about them and say that they were having a baby and, or they were trying to get pregnant, but I can keep notes on Google Streak, so I'm just getting off my Streak soapbox. But so everybody goes in my clean eating group. I check in with them throughout the week, and then on the Saturday when my clean eating group is over, because it's 5 days, on Saturday when it's over, I go to my members page on my clean eating group and I record a voice message and send it to one of them. And I say, hey, thank you so much for being a part of my clean eating group. It was so happy to have you. Hope you got a lot out of it. I wanted to let you know, because I let my clean eating challengers know first, that I'm going to be holding another group that's kind of like this, but it's actually really cool because it's not on Facebook. It's in this really cool app and you get to track stuff. We're going to work on health and fitness, and we're also really going to work on personal development and mindset and everything like that. I can give you more details if you're interested, if you like this group. If not, no biggie, just wanted to let you know. And then I go to that voice message, and there's a little button next to the voice message that's like an arrow coming out of a box, and you can click it and you can forward it to all of your clean eating group people. So I just go to my members page and I'm like, this person send, this person send. And I send about 30 to 60 messages in a 5-minute period. And I just sent 30 to 60 challenge group invites to all of the people that just got value from my clean eating group. And that's exactly my process that I follow every single month. This whole, ADOS formula from that beginning to that is what I do. That's exactly what I do. And then if they say no, or they can't afford it or whatever, I talk through their objections. Don't just say, oh, it's okay, I'll check in with you. Talk through their objections and then ask them, is it okay if I check in with you every month? And once they say yes, and the cool thing is if they say no, thank you, you don't have to worry about contacting them anymore because they're not interested. And, and they could, change their mind later on. But most 9.9 times out of 10, people are going to be like, oh, I'd, love to learn more. So on the other flip side of this, I also send a coach invite. So 80% of the people that go on my contact list are straight up people who are going to get a clean eating group invite. But then the other 20%, and I do a little bit more just because I am more so growing my team. Like I've done this process for so long, I can fill a clean eating group without even putting new people on my contact list. So I more so do coaches, but some of you guys might not be there yet. So I would say 80-20, maybe 70-30. The other 30 or 20% should be coaches, people who you are going to do this process with. But after that 3rd to 4th week, you're just going to send them a coach invite. You're not going to invite them to anything, nothing, maybe a sneak peek event, but that's why 3 weeks into my month is my clean eating or is my sneak peek event. I plan it like that. So I send them all messages that say, hey, can I ask you a question? I'm sure you've been asked this before, but I just feel this vibe from you. I've been following your story for a while now, and I seriously think you would make an amazing coach. Now, I did just recently change my invite because I watched this video by Christina Delgado, and it was amazing. And it's been working really well. So just to give you guys an updated version of what my script sounds like. It says, hey, can I ask you a question? Blah, blah, blah. It says, I've been following your story for a while now, and I know the kind of people I want to do business with. And you are 100% one of them. So she said, instead of saying, I'd love to have you on my team, saying, you're the kind of person I'd want to do business with. Because again, you're asking them to join as a coach. You want to let them know. And then I say, you're vulnerable, you give value, and you seem like an amazing soul. So you're giving them the things that they exemplify in a coach and saying like, you would be all of these things. I know you probably have no idea what I'm talking about, but I just wanted to reach out to you. When I send that message, most people are at least like, oh, I want to, at least know more. You know what I mean? So that's kind of the process that I follow with both of these. I'm sorry, I'm kind of like speeding through this, but usually this takes me like an hour. So I'm kind of happy that I kind of got through this. So step 5 is just to implement. If you found any of this helpful at all, if you thought it was stupid, then that's fine too. But if you thought that it was helpful, go out and implement. Do not let the notes that you wrote be just words on a piece of paper where you say, Alexis, I always get messages all the time. Oh my God, Alexis, I just watched your call, or I just watched this. It was so helpful. And then they don't go out and implement. So if you found it helpful, even if you take one nugget from this, go out and make it happen. If you just keep taking notes and reading personal development books and watching calls, but you never actually take action, it's not going to mean anything. Knowledge means nothing. It's all about action. So,
hey, yeah. Alexis, just so you know, if we need to go a little over, I mean, as long as people are okay, since you're here, like, and if you're okay with answering questions and stuff, like, we can go over a little bit.
Okay. Well, I'm technically done. So.
Oh, awesome.
Yeah, so that's why I'm surprised. I'm like, usually it takes me an hour, and
I can tell you're like Speedy Gonzalez. Hey, you guys, real quickly, but you're good, you're energized. Okay, let me raise your hand if you're using a tracking system right now that is not pen and paper. So one of the 3 that she said, Streak, Asana, or Teamsy, who is using that right now? Raise your hand. Okay, raise your hand if you're using pen and paper. Raise your hand if you're just using your Facebook inbox and you just scroll through your messages that way.
Open it up. Yeah.
So So that was one of the things I really took away from you is like everything changed. You went from struggling to hit SC6 to, I mean, hitting 20. And the only thing that changed was you stopping with the pen and paper or just using your inbox and getting over to something professional, whether it's Streak, which is free if you want to learn that, or you pay the 20 some dollars a month and get Team Z that's specifically made for coaching. But wouldn't you recommend that this is like super important and an investment that you should make, whether it's investment of time and learning or money?
Yeah, it really is. Like my team knows I am like a Streak fanatic. It's just so beneficial. And like there's a lot, I'm sure you guys probably don't really understand, but like I said, I'll send the videos. I'd be here, like I have a whole other call about Streak, but the videos I have, everything's in there. It explains everything. Now Google Streak itself is free. But if you use the reminders feature, which is the benefit, now you don't have to, you can still keep notes about people. You can do everything. The literally only thing that you would pay for. But for me, there's nothing I pay for in my business that I think is more valuable than Google Streak. It helps me so much because somebody can message you and say, hey, I'm not ready, right now, but I have a girl that messaged me and told me that she can't join because she like has something with her job that she can't do anything else, but in 8 months she'll be able to. Your pen and paper is not going to remind you to check in with this girl 8 months later, but I put a Google Streak reminder for like February of 2018. I'm going to wake up on that day and be like, girlfriend, I got a coach today. And I'm not going to worry about finding a piece of paper. Like there's just so many really good benefits. And like the fact that I can put notes in there and say, she was in a clean eating group. She said no to this group. Like I just put so many extra things in there that it just really helps you. Yes, it takes time to do. Yes, if you do the reminders feature, you'll have to pay per month. And I think if you do it with a bunch of people, you get like a percentage off. But you will be less stressed. When you get frustrated at your business and you sit down to work your business and you're just like, oh my God, who am I messaging? What am I doing? You don't want to do it. You get burnout, you get frustrated, and you just don't do it. This helps avoid that because you feel organized and you're like, oh my gosh, I actually like this now. This is fun. And you get it done and you can worry your stress about so many other things.
And this is my other thing. I remember because I was on a call this morning with Sarah, who's on here, and she's like, just takes too long to figure out and I don't like it. And I gave this example. I remember when I was on a call with Josh once and I'm like, yeah, Facebook ads, I just can't sit through, even if it's Zach's training, who's my friend, just to sit through that. That's not my personality. It's hard. It's awful. And if I can't learn something in the first 5 minutes of watching it and then go do it and figure it out, my interest level leaves. And he was like, you know what, Andrea, the thing about it is if you're going to go to the next level with your business, then you need to be able to step out of your comfort zone and grow through that. Because true business people, I don't know anybody who is, crazy successful and not have a basic understanding about ads or, pen and paper. We don't know many top coaches who are just relying on pen and paper. While that's the easiest, you've got to grow through that. And it made so much sense when he said that.
Yeah, and easy does not equate you making money. It doesn't. I'm sorry, but like there's so many things that I've gotten outside of my comfort zone doing. And if we keep always saying, I don't want to do this, I don't want to do that. And honestly, my Google Streak webinar, you can get set up in 2 hours. That's not a lot. And it's not, the 2 hours is you watching and listening to me talk. You're actually doing stuff with me, and I have like it's super easy like once you're kind of doing everything. But if you keep if you're saying like I don't, whatever it is in your business that you don't want to do, or I don't want to do it because it's too hard or it's too this or it's too that, you're going to stay at this level. It's impossible to go to the next level, to whether you want to be a top 10 coach or you just want to earn $1,000 a week or whatever it is. Like to me, it's worth it. Is it, I always ask people, are you going to be okay if your life is the same as it is now 5 years from now? Like, would you be okay with that? Would you be like, I'm fine? For me, no. I mean, and I love my life. I'm happy. I do well, but I want to continue to grow. So ask yourself, are you going to be happy? I was like the overdraft queen, like constantly getting a notification, you're negative $50, like having to transfer money. And then sometimes I have money and get like 75 overdraft fees, and then I get paid and then it goes all negative and then it's like a hot mess. So for me, just think of those things to make that feeling. But I don't know if anybody has any questions about anything I talked really, really, really fast on.
You guys ask now, because it's not often that you're going to have access to Alexis and like asking the question. So unmute yourself if you have any type of question about her system, Instagram, Facebook, anything.
Yeah, whether it's conversations.
Yeah.
A lot of people ask me kind of like, when do you do this or when do you do that? I've gotten good. I've done this call so many times that I've all the questions I usually try to answer in the call. So then a lot of times I'm finding that people don't have as many questions. But
so, okay, so then since nobody's asking questions, so today's the 10th of the month, right? We're in a cut month. Everybody's pushing because now everyone wants that sweatshirt, which means everybody on the team needs to, you know, step up and everything. So just, I mean, if somebody's like, okay, they're listening to your call right now, they're relying on pen, paper in their Facebook inbox, and they're like, oh my God, who do I invite? What is the action steps tomorrow? Like, what do they do tomorrow knowing that they want to end this month SC10, having people on board and everything?
Yeah. So with this process, like, I mean, I can think of some things kind of that fall into the same category as this process, but this process specifically is not something that you can necessarily use to get a quick thing. This is a long term. I like to call it like those Dutch waterfalls that like they pick up water and then they jump it into the next month. But something that I have my teams do that is kind of the same way. It's like that contact list thing. So what I have them do when I have like my Success Club push groups at the end of the month, I have them go to their Instagram, and any picture that they posted that was a transformation, maybe you just shared a vulnerable story, anything where you were vulnerable or you just shared like something a little bit more deeper, I go to the likes, and everyone, even if it's a personal page, I make a list, or I copy and paste a message and send the same thing. And I say, hey, thank you so much for liking my before and after. Thank you so much for liking, my post the other day about sharing my story. It's not always easy to share stuff like this, but I really like, I really appreciate the support, even if it was a simple like. And I've started so many conversations where people will be like, oh, of course, like, and then I ask, like, do you struggle with this too? Like, I know some people kind of, don't always tell other people, if you need someone to talk to, blah, blah, blah. I've started so many conversations like that. And then sometimes it can lead to something. Or, I mean, you can just do as simple as somebody, liking one of your posts, whether it was a call to action, clean eating group, whatever, anything like that, and just sending them a message that says, hey, I noticed that you liked my post about this. I don't know if you were just liking it for support or if, you were interested in more information. I really think a lot more people should be doing that, because I send that all the time. I did that with my meditation group the other day. It was a free group, but I sent that message, and like 6 people that just liked it but never commented were like, oh my gosh, yes, I would love more information. So I know it can be like kind of scary and weird, but if you have 30 to 40 people, like, I mean, it depends on how many people are liking your stuff, but if you have more than that, that's great. But I know some people don't have that many likes on there, but if you have that many people and you message them, you could be getting just a few people, in there. And you could still try to do this process, and just shorten it a bit. But what I would say to do is, like, tomorrow or this weekend, you would need to make a list of at least like 100 people. I made my coaches make a list of 100 people before the month even started. They had to message. But I would say tomorrow's Friday, Saturday, Sunday. Put like 30 minutes on, and all you have to do is 30 minutes. I know you're like, I have the weekend, I have to hang out with my family. 30 minutes is not going to take away from your family. I'm just being honest. 30 minutes on Friday, 30 minutes on Saturday, 30 minutes on Sunday. Make a list of 30 people. By the end of it, you'll have 90 people. Is that the right math? Yeah, I'm really
yes.
You'll have 90 people, and then send them all this message. It's the 10th. You probably could by the end of the month. So instead of inviting them to a clean eating group, you can just do this process and then just invite them to the challenge group instead of a clean eating group. And if you're like, again, how do I invite, get them to talk about stuff so I can get them to, me to be like, oh, Shakeology would be great for that. You don't have to do that. All you have to do is start the conversation, start the message with, hey, I don't know if you'd be interested in this kind of thing. Or, hey, I meant to mention, or if they happen to say something about health and fitness, then you can use that as your in. But you can do this process and just cut out the clean eating group invite. I just find that I get a lot more yeses if I invite someone to a clean eating group first and they get value from me, and I invite them I give them something for free first before I ask them for something. But if you are trying to hit a goal, you can totally just skip the clean eating group invite and just invite. And then make sure you're inviting coaching as well. You can't just be posting coach call to actions. You have to be inviting your coaching as well. So I would just say to cut the middleman out of the clean eating group. And then you could literally do this process and then give yourself like the last 6 days. And on that, 6 days before the end of the month, send out the invite to everybody you did that with. But you can't do that unless you do like 30 contacts for Friday, Saturday, Sunday. And then by Monday or Tuesday, all your people are invited. Could you imagine if you started 90 new conversations by Monday? Like you could totally hit Success Club. And the other thing about it is you're going to do all of this. And even if maybe you don't hit your goals, imagine how much you're going to have for next month because you're going to be following up with all of these people. So that would be my suggestion.
I like it. Okay. Real quickly, everyone's asking for your Google Streak webinars. When she gets it to me, I'll post it in my team page and I'll post it in Angie's team page so you guys have it. Stephanie has a question. So I unmuted you. Are you still on? Oh yeah. You're there. Okay. What is your question?
So first of all, Alexis, your energy is crazy. I need whatever you have. Oh my God.
Everybody says that.
No, and you might have even said this, but you might have said it a little too quick for my brain right now. But when you're talking to people who you want to get in to be a coach, are you not inviting them to a clean eating group? Are you not inviting them to anything? You're just
Sometimes I do. Like what I do is if I find them and I put them on my contact list, when I put them into my Google Streak, once I send them a message, they automatically get put in my Google Streak. And in the notes section, because there's like a notes section for each person, I'll put possible coach. So then I know as I follow up with them every few days that once I have talked to them for a few days, after because there's like a little tracker that says like this person's been in the box for 15 days, 20 days, and when it says like at least 21, I automatically just send them a coach invite out of nowhere. There's no like waiting for I don't restart the conversation. I just send them a message at 9 o'clock in the morning, 8 p.m. at night, and just says, hey, can I ask you a question? And I just invite them to that. Now there's some people, if I'm like, the conversation really wasn't going too hot, or I feel like I need a little bit more like, getting to know them, I'll invite them to a clean eating group. But a lot of times the people who I'm inviting to coaching kind of look like they kind of already have their stuff going on, and not that they can't be a part of a clean eating group, but I just want to get them in there. And it's important to do that because you want to make sure that you are just directly inviting people to coaching, because you are going to pull people from challenge groups and everything like that. But if you're pulling people from challenge groups and inviting coaching, you're really just going to double down your efforts of possibly signing, 2 to 3 coaches a month, if not more, because that's what you try to, want to be aiming to do, hitting emerald each month. So, or week or whatever you want to do. So
yeah.
Gotcha.
So I would say just definitely make sure that there's like, and pick a number. I always tell my team, they're like, I'm going to sign these coaches this month. I'm like, pick a number for how many invites you want to do. And I keep a tally mark on my desk that says, I want to invite this many coaches this month. And each time I invite one, I mark a tally off, because at the end of the month, if there's only been 10 invites and I wanted to send 40, I'm like, I just go through and see who maybe, I'm not inviting. So yeah.
Okay. Thank you.
Okay, so before we end, so just real quickly, give us a snapshot of your life before coaching and your life now. Like, because I always love to hear this. Like, so what were you doing? Were you working? Who were you then? And how has your life changed now?
I could go on and on. So really quick, I told this story 1,000 times. So flashback to, I went to college to be a high school history teacher. I had a quarter life crisis and was like, teaching isn't what I want to do. So I up and left the East Coast and moved to the West Coast with a guy I had been dating. I flew to Washington State with just like 2 suitcases and met him, and we drove down. We were going to live in LA. Soon I found out that it was an emotionally abusive relationship. He was a pathological liar. I developed 2 eating disorders because of it. And when we got down to LA, the house that he told me was going to be there was non-existent. So I ended up homeless for 3 months. We were sleeping out of our car. I was showering on the Santa Monica in the Santa Monica beach in my bathing suit, like brushing my teeth in like Target bathrooms, like eating boxes of Cheerios and loaves of bread, like Hot Mess Express, just like ridiculous. So eventually separated myself from him, got back on my feet somehow. Eventually started doing like waitressing and like odd jobs, like weird, like, which is like Subway, doing all those things. And then in February of 2013, because this was a year later, I was diagnosed with PCOS, which is a polycystic ovarian syndrome. It's like an autoimmune disorder, and I was gaining weight, and I was like, I need to get my life together. So I wasn't eating healthy before that. I was working out, but I wasn't eating healthy. I started eating healthy, started sharing my story on social media, and then my coach, Lauren, who had PCOS too, connected with me through PCOS, and then was sending me like these little messages and building a relationship with me. And then eventually she was like, dude, like you're inspiring all these people on your Instagram, like you should be a coach. And I was one of those people that like was like, okay, I'll just sign up as a coach. I don't know what I'm doing. And like, I just didn't even care. Like I wasn't a challenger first. I just went right to coaching. And then within the first few months, I was like, this is awesome. Like, I want to do this. And I was one of those brand new coaches that was just talking about coaching right off the bat. I didn't even know what I was talking about. And for those of you who may know her, Carly Del Carlo was one of my first coaches. And I am so grateful that I just started talking about coaching right off the bat, because she was number 7 in the company in 2014. And if, like, she's a big part of my team. And I obviously have a lot of other people on my team, but she's, an amazing person, and she's taught me a lot about the business. And if it wasn't for me talking about coaching right off the bat, I wouldn't have ran into her, because I just invited her because we were in a PCOS group together and she was running it. And I was like, so that's kind of where I am now. I've been coaching for like 4.5 years. I do it full time. I'm a 6-figure earner. So being a 6-figure earner when I was homeless at one point is like absolutely crazy. Beachbody didn't necessarily get me out of it, but it helped, like really helped. Like I wasn't homeless at that time, but I had just been homeless like 6 months prior. So I was like, couldn't even leave my car because I couldn't put gas, or couldn't even leave my house because I couldn't put gas in the car. And that's when Beachbody started helping me. So technically it didn't get me out of homelessness, but it got me out of like, I couldn't leave my house. So, that's kind of where my story has led me with Beachbody. So
crazy.
Right?
Oh my goodness. All right. Well, I just want to thank you so much for being on here, taking the time with our team. I really appreciate it. And I know that, like, you guys just take what she's telling you, do it. Like, what if for 90 days you just committed to this? Where would you be at the end of the 90 days? If you truly did this, your business would be in a totally different place. So you just have to take action. All right, everybody. Thank you so much for hanging out with us. Alexis, thank you so much. I really, really appreciate it.
Of course, if anybody has any questions, just send them to Andrea and I'll totally answer them.
Yes.